Can you see what is happening on the planet in this future time? How is it different to the way things are now?
There's a lot more water
Mm.
on the planet. There's less humans, and the humans that I'm seeing are concentrated in more communal or tribe-like living and dwellings. I'm seeing an example of a civilization that is sitting together in circle, and I believe there is a fire, but there's a glow of some kind coming from the center, and it feels like they are not just in ceremony, but in concentration and focusing their efforts on a more spiritual, communal type. It's what we would see as prayer, but um, it's like a centered focus to elevate their own hearts, their own souls, their own spiritual centers. So it's a much more harmonious interaction, and yet at the same time, it seems necessary.
Mm.
And I see people living more off the earth. I see them not so much high end farming, but just eating and living from what they need. So just growing what they need and living off of that. There's not so much excess.
Mm.
And there doesn't seem to be the commerce or anything. I mean, it's very different from what we know. There doesn't seem to be the machines.
Mm.
Seem to just be living off the land like they did originally. And again, I'm taken back to this circle of this group of people that are almost, it seems like they're almost living telepathically.
Right. Because they've raised their frequency, what kind of things can they do that would have seemed impossible in the time that we're in now?
They're in control of the elements.
Mm.
So they're able to, um, like I see them holding their hand out with the flame. So they're able to, it's not like that they ignite fire, but they can control it.
Mm.
Um, they're able to work in harmony with the water and the wind. There's not crazy storms, there's not turbulent oceans, there's not raging fires. The temperature is peaceful as well. So they
Mm.
are living peacefully and harmoniously without much effort.
Are they able to manifest things if they need them by this focusing that you saw them doing?
So I'm getting that they don't want for anything. There's no desire for something different.
Mm.
There's no desire for more. So kind of like that the ego then is no longer present. It's no longer driving them. They're though if there is a need for a change in the situation, they do it together.
Mm.
So they change their situation, but only together as a council, as this group, as this unit. They all have a specific place, and it doesn't work without that
Mm.
extra person. If one person were missing, it's like it doesn't work, or they wait for that person so that they do it together.
So let me ask you then, they've transcended the ego. What has replaced that? What is it that they've connected with that brings this feeling of not wanting things and being contented?
The earth. So connecting with the planet and recognizing the humility of putting the planet first,
Mm.
and recognizing their primary focus is to care for the planet, to live with the planet, and be in nature, has reduced the need for living outside of the self,
Mm.
which is obviously the imbalance of the current population, the dissatisfaction of living in their bodies causes them to look outside of themselves for solutions. And this has caused great disruption.
So let's then look at this shift of consciousness that took place. Imagine that you're looking back from this future time of peace and harmony. What were the steps that brought you to this place? Let's look at the time that we're in right now with this virus bringing everything to a halt across the whole planet, this coronavirus. Was that a significant event in creating this future world of peace and harmony?
I'm getting that there's a long path of disruption,
Mm.
that there's a lot of unsettled civilizations or groups of people in this, that there is a separation of the positive and the negative, and it becomes very strong to each side. So the polarization starts to take a strong effect.
Mm.
There is a strong positive for those that are cooperative or harmonious with the planet. And there is a strong sense of destruction for those who are in resistance. There's a long time period of unsettled sense or unsettled normalcy for what we know now on the earth. Approximately 10 years or a decade, possibly longer, that we may anticipate for the separation, which in the spectrum of time or timeline is not very long.
Except when you're living through it, then it seems like a very long time.
That's true.
So what would you recommend? How do you suggest, from your own having walked through this, what is the best way that people could navigate this time?
And this is why it's been necessary for people to be in more solitude versus congregating.
Mm.
Element of the virus is strong, however, it has caused the need for us to separate, and in the separation, we find commune among not only the self, the person, but in commune with nature and the solitude, so that you can find what kind of person it is that you are and what side it is that you are choosing. It is in the daily distractions of work or activity or ritual that is unconscious. So now it is important to take this time and recognize what it is that you want to live consciously. And it is in this choice and in this living that you will find your peace, be it to the realm of harmony with the planet or in the realm of resistance. There
So
is a great
choose
purpose
harmony. What would that look like?
to live with the strength of Mother Gaia is choosing to live in the strength of your own heart, to live in the strength of your own being, and to live in the light. This is the choice for those who have chosen to manifest at this time and to walk on the planet at this time. It is a strong sense of choosing a certain vibration or frequency that allows you to resonate to our more harmonious frequency. And while some will find it difficult as light workers, you are eliminating those things that have made you human, that have made the journey difficult thus far. You have done much work to be here and be present and to be a successful participant. However, it may seem difficult now to go through this period of time, and yet the reward on the other side and during, it will not be difficult for 10 years. It will be challenging, but it's as if your work has already been done and you are now releasing that which no longer serves you. And that, for the light workers, is what this time period is about.
Right. There's a lot of negative information, especially on the media right now, about conspiracy and blame, and they're doing this to us and it's not real, they're trying to control us. Does it help at all to look at that?
No, that is a very human, arrogant, egotistical response. To accept what is going on means that they have to look at themselves. So the disruption right now, the media, the riots, the protesting, this is a result of those who feel like they need to blame others or someone. They again go outside of themselves versus looking within for wisdom and peace. They cannot find it. Though they are capable of having it, they are choosing to again act outside of themselves in a very destructive way. It is up to those who are light workers to, while you may observe this activity, you recognize that you are not part of that group. You are not part of that plan. They, in a sense, will destroy themselves. They, in a sense, will destroy one another. And in doing that, they destroy ego, because those who have chosen the peace, the serenity, the harmony with nature, they have given that up a long time ago.
So then it would be helpful to choose to be in the presence of the ones who are choosing peace. That would this be of help to have light workers who are in harmony with the earth, with the new earth, coming together, finding each other?
This is necessary, and this is what is happening. And this is the group of people that we discussed sitting in a circle and manifesting the higher frequency of love and peace, and that they must do it together. So it is necessary that light workers and visionaries come together and recognize that they are the constructors of the new world. They hold the blueprints to the new way of living. It is important that you open yourself up to connecting with new light workers that you may not have known in the past, though it is important to still connect with those you have known and reconnect with those, because while some have chosen a different path, those that you know from the past who are still choosing this path, those are the ones that it is important for you to connect with, because you know at a deeper level. And those are likely the Lemurians that have worked with you in the past.
Mm. So you might be able to bring them along into this new earth, this new way of being. So then do you see a movement back to a more simple way of life, living on the land, being more sustainable? Is this going to be a trend following this virus?
It seems that it has already begun to happen, that people are recognizing the need to be self-sufficient, that depending on others for their basic needs is no longer an option.
Excuse me.
That's true.
Thank you. So looking back from this place in the future, what would you say to those who are still walking through this time of complete transformation, when our whole way of life has been brought to a halt? Knowing from where you are the end result, which is not visible to people now, what would you say to them?
Be patient. While it may seem that 2 months is a long period of time, it is not. While it may seem that 9 months to wait for a child to be born is a long period of time, once the child is grown, you recognize how short that period of time was that that child lived inside of you. So while you go through it, it may seem long. However, it is necessary for you to find how it is best for you to get through it peacefully and comfortably. Recognize that this does and will take a significant period of time. Again, we call it the 10 years, though it may seem shorter to you because time has taken on a new appearance. It no longer behaves or acts in the same way that it did prior to this period of time. As the earth changes its frequency, time will also change in the way that you know it. The days and the nights may seem different. The lunar cycle will also change. So simply find your way of peace. Find rituals and activities that bring you peace, that allow you to be healthy and happy and strong in who you are and what you endeavor to be.
And as the earth is moving into the higher frequencies, doesn't that bring us more tools that we would not have access to before in such a powerful way, such as the power of intention?
Things are much more clear as you can see. What may have been foggy in the past, or where you may have had difficulty manifesting or hearing your insights, everything has become much more clear. The fog has lifted. There is no longer the clouds intercepting those frequencies. So things take on the appearance to be much more obvious for you as humans. You no longer have to live in that world where the ego interrupts.
And is connecting to your higher self, to your own divine self, part of this process of raising your frequency? Does that help?
That process is what is necessary. That process allows you to experience the clearer signals that give you a better insight into how to live a more peaceful life and how to achieve that place which you wish to achieve during this transition.
Many people are going into fear at this time because their known world is collapsing. What could you say to them from the place that you're in the future?
Fear is a reaction. Fear is an emotion. We have, as beings, spiritual beings, control of our emotions and our reactions. When you reach a certain level of higher spiritual living, fear no longer exists. Fear is no longer part of your reality. So I would say to those who choose fear, part of me wants to tell you that those are the people who must react in that way. That is part of their journey. However, there are those who recognize while fear exists, it does not serve them to live in that place. So those are the people that you would want to focus your teachings towards, that you would want to focus your efforts towards. Those who recognize that fear is not a driving force, that fear does not sustain their well-being. Those are the ones that will listen to your teachings, and those are the ones that will support the transition.
And sometimes feeling the fear is just an opportunity to release old fears from within that are nothing to do with the present, but that we've carried for historically through most of this cycle of separation.
In a way, the coronavirus is only a manifestation of that fear.
Mm. But it's also giving us the opportunity to release fear on every level. Is that true?
It is giving you an opportunity to release ego,
Mm.
to release negative aspects of the self. Fear is an emotion, fear is a reaction. So, the coronavirus and this time period in which you are living, and this time period in which you are reacting and finding emotions, will allow you to recognize which ones are positive for your being and for your soul, and which ones no longer serve you. So it is an opportunity to release these emotions, these habits, and this way of living, the activities that vibrate at the frequency of fear. No longer are activities that you are even allowed to do. There is less driving, which seems to cause fear and destruction and anger. There is less activity of congregating where there can be mass minded type fears. All the activities that have caused great destruction or great deliberation of negative thought have had to cease. And this reason, we find many of the humans recognize they no longer need those activities. They no longer need to live in that unconscious way of living. Many are choosing to live a more conscious life and finding that being at home, being in nature, being with loved ones, and living without the material things is a much more positive and healthy way of living. And this will create a new generation for those that are children at this time. The children will start living differently, not from a place of fear, but from a place of simplicity and peace. And they will be passing this on to the next generations who follow.
So is this part of the great cleansing that many prophecies have talked about, that there'll be a releasing of the old ways and the birth of a new ways? Are we in that time now, the great cleansing?
The great cleansing is part of this transition. It is necessary to eliminate those who hold on to certain thought processes, who vibrate at a certain frequency. At this point in time, they are able to either let go of those thought processes or to leave the material world altogether. And so it is necessary to transition into a new world through a process of great cleansing, as you call it.
Mm. So let's just feel that peace then, that harmony. Let's see the earth where you are now, having made that transformation. How does it feel different living in the new earth?
For those living on the planet It feels much more simple, much more at ease. It is easy to be comfortable. It is easy to be safe. It is easy to be free. It is easy to not live within the confines of time. People go about their daily activities because they want to, not because they have to. There is no such thing as climbing the ladder, climbing the corporate ladder, the rat race, the daily grind. These concepts have driven the humans into such a poor way of living and now no longer exist in the new world.
Mm. So we have that bright vision to encourage us to use this time for our own benefit, no matter what anybody else is doing, but to find the peace within.
And that is exactly what this period is about, to find your peace, to find your serenity. And that is, as you say, the manifestation of the new world. You can live the new world even though it has not completed the transition. But as you, the person who allows prophecy and brings prophecy to others, you can help all the light workers to live now in this peaceful world ahead of the end of the transition. You start the transition. It starts now. And through your visions and your manifestations and your living the peaceful, joyful happiness that is the new frequency, this brings it into being.
That's right. We don't have to wait for the end of the 10 years. We can choose any moment to say, this is what I'm choosing now, that I'm ready to live peace, harmony, joy, and love. And then do it. Whatever brings you joy, wherever your heart is, that's where you put your attention and you make it so.